Good evening and welcome to the San Bruno City Council meeting of November 25th, 2014. I'd like to thank the Garden Club for the floral arrangement they always supply for our meetings. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
And it should be noted, Councilmember O'Connell is in Texas joining us with Skype. So there you go. Jeff Caldwell, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have 4 announcements this evening. First, there will not be a City Council meeting on December 23rd, 2014, the 4th Tuesday in December. The final results of the November 4th, 2014 municipal election will be announced on Tuesday, December 9th, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. The annual tree lighting ceremony will take place on Thursday, December 4th, 2014 at 5:30 p.m. at the Veterans Memorial Recreation Center right here in San Bruno City Park. 251 City Parkway. And finally, San Bruno Centennial Gala will be held on Saturday, December the 6th, 2014 from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Skyline College. The event is open to adults over age 21. Tickets are on sale now through the very first of next week for $100 at the Veterans Memorial Recreation Center located at 251 City Parkway or by calling 650-616-7187. We encourage everyone to try to attend. Presentations this evening, there aren't any. Review of the agenda, I would like to move item 11, which is the report of the Park and Rec Commission, to right after public hearings, if that's all right. Any other changes? Item number 6, approval of the minutes of the special City Council meeting minutes of October 28, 2014, and the regular council meeting of October 28, 2014. Any errors, corrections, omissions? Seeing none to be approved as submitted. Consent calendar, all items are considered routine or implemented early accounts of action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no discussion, separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff. Any action on the consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second on the question.
Through the chair,
Irene, yes.
I'm not voting on 7E because I had to recuse myself from much of that,
Okay.
so I'm voting on the rest.
Okay. There's 7E.
Okay.
There's
Move to approve all but 7E from the consent calendar.
Okay. A motion and a second. Ken?
Second.
To approve all items except for item E on the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item E. Irene pulled it.
I'll go ahead and, Irene, unless you wanted to say something, I'll just go ahead and make the motion to approve item E under the consent calendar.
No, I have nothing to say. I'm just recusing myself.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve item E on the consent calendar with Councilmember O'Connell abstaining. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public hearings, there aren't any public hearings this evening. We will now have item 11, which is the annual report of our Parks and Recreation Commission.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Mike Palmer, excuse me, and I'm the current chairperson for the Parks and Recreation Commissioner. I'm here tonight to present our annual report to City Council. We're going to look at the slides now. This slide shows our commission as it was for most of 2013, 2014. And if you don't mind, I've got some of my fellow commissioners with me tonight. I'd like to introduce them. I have current co-chair Greg Pierce, Commissioner Lori Greenberg, and Commissioner Dave Nigel. And they took the time out of their busy schedules to come and watch me stumble through this. I think that's why they're here, by the way, so, yeah. Slide 3 shows the purpose of the Park and Rec Commission, and our purpose is to make recommendations to the City Council regarding community recreation needs. These can include the use of recreational facilities and equipment, the recreational programs, other classes and programs, and also the operation, the supervision, and maintenance of playgrounds, athletic fields, the community swimming pool, indoor recreation facilities, auditoriums, and facilities designated for recreational use, and that's all with the exception of the senior center. And the reason that, if most people don't know, the reason that we don't get into the senior center's business is because they have their own board. Slide 4 shows our accomplishments for the past year, and these included our annual facility inspections, the Portola Performing Arts Center rehabilitation, expansion of the swimming pool schedule and hours, participation on the Centennial Celebration Committee, the Community Recognition Award, and the swimming pool plumbing replacement project. And our additional slides will show each one of those items individually. So slide 5 shows the fields or facilities that we inspected this year. And I'll make note of what we made note of when we were doing our inspections. This year we inspected Monteverdi Field. We found the field to be really in good shape. The commission noted the possibility of adding a play structure in the future if funds become available. We inspected Buckeye Park. Our note there concerned a restroom facility similar to the one that exists at Grundy, and we understand that all of these recommendations are if funding is available. Pacific Heights Park, which is the facility that you see on the bottom of the slide here. Fleetwood Park, it was noted there that we extend, that the city extend the fence at the back of the park for safety reasons. And that is because the back of the park leads right out onto Skyline Boulevard. We also inspected Ponderosa Park and the Portola Performing Arts Center. And we do our annual inspections in May at one of our regular meetings. Our meeting is held at 5. We take care of our agenda, and then we do our inspections. So now we're on to slide 6. Slide 6 shows the work that was done at the Performing Arts Center, the Portola Performing Arts Center. And this work included replacement of the old roof, minor electrical work along with an upgrade to the lights and fixtures, replacement of the old heater vent, repair of the brick chimney, and painting the inside and the outside of the building. I'd like to note that this work was done by the San Bruno Lions Club, and it has really made a difference in the appearance of the building. I was up there just last week to take a look at it, and it's lighter, it's airier, and it's just a more cheerful building now. So it really made a big difference, and the Park and Rec Commission was happy to be part of that along with the Lions Club. Slide 7 shows what was entailed with the expansion of the pool schedule and hours. There was an addition of September programming, which led to 2 additional sessions of swimming lessons in September, along with September water aerobics, lap swimming, and additional recreation swimming. And we understand from Danielle that it was really well received by the community. Slide 8 concerns the Centennial Celebration Committee, and there were 4 Parks and Recreation Commissioners were very active in participating on the Centennial Celebration Committee. Each commissioner was instrumental in the coordination of a different aspect of the Centennial Celebration. Commissioners Lori Davis and Lori Greenberg had the carnival rides. Commissioner Greg Pierce had field games, and Commissioner Dave Nigel handled the publicity. And I was only able to attend the Centennial in the morning. I had another engagement in the afternoon, but it looked to be a fantastic day. The weather cooperated. Everything was very well organized, and I'm proud of my fellow commissioners in that regard. Slide 9 talks about our Community Recognition Award. Nominations were accepted in February. 4 nominations were submitted. The Parks and Rec Commission chose Ruth Pallas over 3 other very worthy candidates. Ruth was recognized officially at our April 16 meeting for her long and loyal service to the community, especially for her work with the San Bruno Senior Center. She was a worthy recipient, and the list of her accomplishments was long indeed. At our April meeting is televised, and at the meeting I was reading her list of accomplishments, and it was making me tired while I was reading them. Just the amount of energy that she's put into a wide variety of programs. Slide 10 talks about the swimming pool replacement project. And that included the solicitation of bids for work that was needed. The work included replacement of the plumbing, which exchanges water between the large swimming pool and the water filtration and heating systems. This work was completed in March, and everything has been working satisfactorily. Slide 11 is the concerts in the park, which were also extended into September and were combined with the Friday night movies. As you all know, the movies are sponsored by the Culture and Arts Commission. The concerts followed by the movies seemed to be a very popular event. One of the bands that played this year, the Campbell's Jazz Soup, is a period band, and they were hired specifically to help celebrate the centennial. Slide 12 will tell you what our goals are for this fiscal year. We're going to continue to work to develop the specifications for the Adopt a Park program, landscaping and installation of tiles on the front of the swimming pool building, help to expand the public's awareness of the Memorial Plaque program and plaque availability, modification to the pathway alignment that carries pedestrians and cyclists from the existing pathway around the park through the parking lot behind the third base dugout at Tom Lara Field. And we've done pretty well on accomplishing our goals, at least since I've been on the Park and Rec Commission. And our final slide is a tough one. It shows our final salute to Commissioner Tom Lara. As you already know, he was a beloved member of our community, and his absence will surely be felt by all of us and everyone that knew him. And on a personal note, I knew Tom since I was 9 years old, so I had a long and really good history with him. That's our report for tonight. Thank you for your time. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Good. Any questions? Well, as I try to say, when all of these reports are given to us, our commissions, boards, and committees are in fact the heart of the city with a heart, because it's all volunteer work. You put a lot of time in behind the scenes, and it's very, very much appreciated. And obviously, from the slides we saw tonight, you're doing a great job.
Thank you,
So
sir.
we really appreciate it, and thanks for attending.
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you.
That's great. Item number 9, public comment on items not on this agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation, interaction where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to address the council under public comment? Okay, we'll get right into conduct of business. Our first item is A. I'm sorry. No, this is for something that's not on this agenda. Would you like to speak to the council?
Well, when it comes to new items, that would be at the end?
No.
That
That would
would be now?
be now. Would be, yes. Just tell us your name and your street.
Good evening. My name is Mark Stenning, Stenning. I live at 190 Siskiyou Court, spelled Siskiyou Court in San Bruno. And I'm here to talk about something related to my work. I work in Brisbane at a company called Expeditors International of Washington. It's a big Fortune 500 company, 13,000 employees all around the world. And we have a sustainability program. We call it like a green team. And I'm actually on that program, even though I've only been with the company for 7 months now. My background's manufacturing, and I have a lot of experience with cutting waste and savings. I proposed an idea to them that they enjoy and have started. It's going to finish up in December. I'd like to share it with you in hopes that maybe the city of San Bruno would embrace it and take it on your own. The program is a little bit difficult to twist people's arms for some reason. Here's a box full of free money. You have to get up off your butt and come over here and get it. It's difficult to do that for some people. I don't know. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, all right. So this green team idea is not something designed to save paper or save spotted owls or anything like that. This idea came about with a desire to put money back in the employees' pockets, save the environment, and make things safer. So that's 3 pluses for everybody, no matter what business they're in. I'm not sure if you guys actually could bring up a website on the screen and indulge me for 3 minutes, but I'll basically tell you about the program. The program is nitrogen for your tires. Cars nowadays, everything's getting newer and new ideas come up, but this is not a new idea. It's been around for decades. The military has been using it for decades. The airline industry, which the company that I work for is the airline industry because we do brokerage customs for freight coming in around the world. The airlines industries have put nitrogen in the airlines for years. Air Force One has nitrogen in its tires. Large farm equipment does, and Indianapolis 500, all the race cars, they all put nitrogen in the tires. Nitrogen is a... Sorry.
It's Irene's nitrogen, I think.
Yes. Nitrogen is actually safer than air for your tire. It does not contain moisture that will oxidize aluminum rims. It does not contain moisture which will rust out steel rims. Nitrogen is a larger molecule that does not expand or contract with the weather. And the way the whole program is designed is that nitrogen won't leak out of your tires like air does. So your tire pressure that you put that little gauge on, or you go to the gas station and you fill up your tires because it's getting a little bit low, doesn't happen with nitrogen. I've had my tires with nitrogen for over 6 years, and I've never once had to put any more nitrogen or air in my tires. I have the confidence of when I drive in wet weather that my tires are performing at their maximum, something that our school buses, our police department, our parks and recreation vehicles could all take advantage of. Now, how about that's the safety. How about the cost savings?
Yeah, we've got to kind of wrap it up here pretty
Yes,
quick, Mark.
cost savings would be about $160 per year per vehicle. Our company is trying to do over 100 vehicles, which would be over $11,000 a year savings annually. You only have to do it once for the life of the tire, and then the savings are there. Not only that, but the tires last longer, up to 6 months longer, which is additional savings of labor to maintain the tires. I'm asking you to present this information. Everything that I'm talking about can be found on www.getnitrogen.org. There's a really nice 3-minute video by Jay Leno on the benefits of using nitrogen in our vehicles. And I ask you to forward this information to whoever handles the maintenance for the city vehicles to give you his or her opinion on the idea of using nitrogen in your vehicles.
Okay, let me
take it from there.
suggest this, that you give the information or even call the city clerk tomorrow and give her the information so she can disseminate it to the council and the staff, and we'll get it out much quicker. Be very good. And Carol's the clerk, and she'll be happy to
I
accept.
apologize, I didn't bring a pen.
That's all right. You can call her tomorrow. She's in the office.
City
Clerk.
city
Carol,
clerk, and
Yes.
suggest the idea to her.
just tell her the information with the website and
Yes.
ask her to pass it on to the council and to staff department heads. That'd be great.
Okay?
Okay,
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Anyone else under public comment? All right, conduct of business, item A, we're going to appoint citizens to Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, Citizens Crime Prevention Committee, and Parks and Recreation Commission. We've interviewed a number of candidates over the last number of months, And first of all, Bike and Ped Advisory Committee, we have one vacancy.
Through the
Someone-
chair?
Yes, Ken?
Could we ask the city clerk if there's any changes to the list?
Just the
Clarification?
fact that Steve Freitas has withdrawn his name.
Okay. No one else?
No.
Okay.
All right, any nominations for bicycle and pedestrian? Michael?
I'd like to nominate William Sinks.
Okay. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Alex Melendres.
Okay. Any others? All right, William Sinks, do we have a second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor for William Sinks, certify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Irene?
I'm going to abstain from these because I don't have my list with me.
I didn't
She
quite.
doesn't have her list with her.
She doesn't have her, okay, she's abstaining. So, Ken, was that an aye?
That was a no.
That was a no, okay. So we have a 3-1 for William Sinks. Let's just see what the total would be for Alexander Melendres. Motion a
Whiting.
second?
No second?
No second? Okay. Looks like William Sinks is our Bike and Ped Advisory Committee member, new. The next is Citizens Crime Prevention Committee. We have one vacancy. Any nominations?
Through the chair,
There you go.
Ann Dillinger.
I'll second.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, there's a motion and a second for Ann Dellinger. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Welcome, Ann. And the last one, we have two vacancies for Parks and Recreation Commission. Any nominations?
Through the chair, I'd like to nominate Chris Gonzalez.
Okay.
Second?
Motion second for Chris Gonzalez. Any other nominations?
You want to take one at a time, or do you want to?
Well, we need two. Let's just see if Chris gets on here. We have a motion and a second for Chris Gonzalez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Chris. Any other nominations?
Through the chair,
Michael?
I'll nominate Alex Melendres.
Okay. I'll second.
The motion is second for Alexander Melendres. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, welcome, Alex. You have those, Carol? Good. Item 10B, received the first quarter financial update report as of September 30th, 2014, and adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 2014-15 operating budget to reappropriate fiscal year 2013-14 carryover encumbrances.
Good evening. I know you guys have been anxiously waiting for this report.
This is your first one, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
second, I did the HERO program too.
Okay.
This is the first one I wrote. Okay, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, I'm going to present to you a brief overview of the first quarterly financial report for fiscal year 2014-15, and I'll briefly go over the resolution that's before council tonight. Just a quick look at the general fund revenues. We are currently at 6.7 million and 18% of budget. Historically, we've been between 14 and 18% at the first quarter because, you know, property taxes, sales tax tend to lag. We receive property taxes in December and April, and then sales tax is usually a month or two. Couple of revenues that I would like to call out is the hotel motel occupancy tax, or TOT, and it's at 25% with 2 months, and this is pretty typical. I did some research, and this is pretty typical for the city of San Bruno. It is to be noted that during the winter months it does go down, so we do end up anticipating that we'll hit budget on this one. Also on business taxes, they are at 67%, and this is paid at the beginning of the year. Everyone pays theirs, and we have an increase in business activity, which is good. I didn't call out that this is $812,000 more than last year, which is a really positive thing for the city. So just wanted to note that. Departmental revenues are up, and this is due to development revenues, development related. On the expenditure side, we're within our normal limit, which is 23%, and at approximately $8.4 million. There are a couple of departments that are a little over the 25%, and this can be explained. We have engineering and streets, and they are over due to the annual payment of the CCAG, that's assessment fee that's paid at the first of the year, so that will level off. The library is over at 28%, and this is for the same reason they pay their Peninsula Library shared cost in the beginning of the year. Recreation, this is pretty familiar. Part-time staff salaries go up at the summer months because of the busy summer season. And non-departmental is over 25%, and this is due to the fire debt service for the fire truck is paid in September, so it's in the first quarter. But overall, the departments are within budget and doing very well. A quick look at the enterprise funds. The revenue side, are within the range. Water is at 26%, so it's a little over the 25%. This does reflect the third year of the water rate increase. The wastewater is within 25%. Cable television's at 22%, but as you can see, their expenditures are also at 22%, so they're staying in line, and this is the same as what they were last year at this time. And revenues are exceeding expenditures, so this is a good thing. And then stormwater, as usual, this is on the property tax, so we won't receive the first revenues until December. On the internal service funds, these are paid through transfers, so they should be at 25% and are. The one expenditure that you want to note, and is pretty common, I believe, is the self-insurance expenditures at 55%, and this is due to the payment of the general liability and excess workers' comp premiums that are paid at the beginning of the year. I thought I would jazz things up a little bit and add one additional slide and let you know where we are at the first quarter in the reserves. So the general fund contingency is currently at 1.9. General fund reserves at approximately 9.3. Capital improvement reserve is 7.6. And one thing to note is we finished the 13-14 years positively, and $2.1 million was put into the capital improvement reserve. So council and staff should be commended on such a great return. Emergency disaster reserve is the $3 million, and this is consistent with what we had anticipated. So that concludes my overview over the report, and then I just kind of want to briefly give you an explanation on the purchase order carryovers. The city uses purchase orders to encumber budgeted funds for purchase of equipment and contractual agreements. A lot of times these contracts aren't completed at the end of the fiscal year, so that we ask that those amounts are carried forward into the new fiscal year. These total up to about approximately $5.7 million, and you can see a big portion of them are the 1.9, which is the emergency disaster fund, which is for the Glenview Crestmore reconstruction project. And that concludes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Good. Any questions for our finance director?
Here we go.
Ken?
Now that you have a quarter of your crystal ball out, and I always like to, and I realize that a lot of the reporting is delayed, and so what is your opinion as far as what the the status, the state of the economy now, and hopefully we'll have a robust holiday season, and you'll be able to come here at half year and hopefully get a little more excited over the numbers that you show us. But what is your opinion as to how things are going?
Well, in the 2 months I've been here, I've been very impressed with not only the finances, but, you know, the way everything is accounted for. The revenues are showing, I mean, just for us to say that we put 2.1 million, and all of the other reserves meet the council reserve policies. So general fund is at 25%. We've got, you know, currently the contingency had 1.9, so the goal is 1.5. And so now we have 2.1 more in our capital reserve fund. So I think overall, and then just to say that in the first quarter, we're $812,000 over what we were in the prior quarter. I'm excited to see what happens with our finances, so.
Okay, and thank you. And the only other thing that I ask is that, and I am proud of being, that we've been able to take care of these reserve accounts. But if you can give us, jazz it up even a little more and show us how, in relation to those numbers are to what our goals were. And you're already saying that, you know, we're over our
Sure.
targets in some of them, but that would be good also. Because then we can see where we got some breathing room.
So, like I'd mentioned, the goal on the general fund contingency was 1.5, so we're currently $434,000 over, and this is just in the first quarter, because we did have 1.5 at the end of the year. The general fund reserve is $548,000 over what was projected at the budget when it was presented to council. Capital improvement reserve is actually 2.5 million higher than originally projected. So that includes the 2.1, so there was a little bit of another increase. And then the emergency disaster reserve is exactly where I believe Jim had presented to you in June, and it's exactly what he had presented at that time.
Any other questions,
Through
Rico?
the chair. A couple things. I believe some of the 800,000, it may be from the business license. I'm believing that it has been resolved, and if I'm incorrect, you can update me later. The other thing is, as far as monies that are owed to the city from the trust for staff time that's been devoted and dedicated toward the rebuild in the Glenview, Crestmore neighborhood and area. Not now, I'm not looking for an answer now, but I'd like to get some follow-up as far as how much is owed, how much the city, have we put in for the request, when was the last time we did, how much is owed, and what is our timeline and expectation in which we're going to ask for that reimbursement. I'd also like to have us look when those, depending upon the amount, when those monies are brought back to the city, that the council have a discussion about having it earmarked or potentially placed off to the side for whether it's our streets and roads, whether it's infrastructure into our water or sewer, so that it's specified, because this is going to be one-time monies. I'd like to see us reinvest it into our infrastructure.
Anything else, Michael? Irene, anything?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, we're asking for a resolution.
Through the chair, I'll introduce the resolution for a vote.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item 10C, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Bellecci and Associates for design of the Crystal Springs Road Sewer and Water Main Replacement Project in an amount not to exceed $244,356 and appropriating $200,000 from the Water Capital Fund and $200,000 from the Wastewater Capital Fund.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. Jimmy Tan, a City Engineer with the Public Services Department. The Crystal Springs Road Sewer and Water Main Replacement Project is one of the capacity improvement projects that is needed to be completed by 2019 as part of the consent decree agreement. The primary purpose of the project is to alleviate the capacity deficient pipeline issues along Crystal Springs Road and to reduce future sanitary sewer overflows. This project consists of upgrading approximately 3,400 feet of 6-inch and 8-inch pipeline with new 10-inch and 15-inch pipeline along Crystal Springs Road, and installing approximately 3,850 feet of new 8-inch water pipeline along Crystal Springs Road as well. And in addition to that, there's another 500 feet of 12-inch water line that needs to be replaced along El Camino between Taylor Avenue and Crystal Springs Road. These water pipelines are being concurrently replaced due to the age of the infrastructure and to reduce construction impacts to the public. The completion of this project will provide residents with more reliable water and sewer service to prevent future sewer overflows and water breaks. The city issued an RFP for the design services in October and received 6 proposals. Staff evaluated the proposals and is recommending Bellici and Associates to provide the engineering design for this project. Bellici and Associates has experience as they have designed a previous project for the city with the Keynes Avenue and San Mateo Avenue sewer replacement project, which is part of the third phase of the Keynes to Angus sewer bypass project. The consultant cost services for this work is $244,356. The scope of work includes the preparation of technical memorandum, geotechnical investigation, surveying, detailed final design, preparation of bid documents, and providing construction support services. The design is anticipated to be completed within 6 months and actually in 8 months with additional 6 months for construction. During the design, the staff will evaluate the environmental impacts and file the necessary clearances for this project. The construction of this project is anticipated to be awarded in the 15-16 fiscal year. Currently, this project is a proposed project in the fiscal year 14 to 19 CIP within established 13 to 18 CIP water and sewer main improvements and replacement programs. So funds have not been appropriated for this project. So we're requesting a total appropriation of $400,000, $200,000 from the wastewater capital fund and $200,000 from the water capital fund for the design contract and staff project management. So therefore, the staff is recommending to adopt the resolution to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Bellici and Associates for the design of this project in amount not to exceed $24,256 and appropriating $200,000 from the wastewater fund and then $200,000 from the water capital fund.
Any questions of staff?
Yeah.
Ken?
Through the chair, I should have called on this. I'm a little confused as to what's being replaced and possibly what's being abandoned. I have a map, an attachment location map here that shows the origination of the pipe at Portola Way and then traversing across the baseball fields and then all the way down Crystal Springs. And then in the staff report, it states that you were doing something that's going to divert that. So if you can explain what is actually being constructed, whether or not we are doing anything in the park, or you're just going to abandon those pipes. And then you're talking about 6 to 8 months on Crystal Springs Road, which really concerns me. I've got a 75th Posey Parade in June, and I'd like to know what the condition of Crystal Springs Road's going to be.
Correct. The alignment that's shown on the map is for the, that shows existing sewer main alignment. And currently, the pipeline that's along or within the San Bruno Park will be relocated because it's currently in the baseball field.
Right.
So in order for future accessibility of this pipeline, the pipeline will be relocated to the City Parkway. And the rest of the pipeline alignment will remain as is, since it's the removal and replacement of the existing sewer pipelines. So the pipeline from Oak Avenue all the way to El Camino will be within the streets along Crystal Springs Road.
As it relates to your additional question about the timeline, it's my understanding that, first of all, this is a design contract, and that design process will occur over the next approximate 10 to 12 months. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the
Oh, I'm sorry,
Cozy
yeah.
Parade this coming June will not be impacted, potentially bidding the project and then beginning construction in 2016 will be the time during which we will need, during the design phase, we will obviously need to consider and incorporate those considerations with respect to use of Crystal Springs Road as well as City Park Way as part of the design phase, and then those impacts will be felt in 2016. So we have plenty of time to plan and prepare for that, and staff is mindful.
My apologies, I was fast-tracking this project. I was thinking, I saw completed by August 2015, and so I was anticipating the construction to be, but it's still going to be a major impact.
It will be.
On that thoroughfare.
And that will need to be a major consideration of the design phase of the project in order that we get all of those issues vetted carefully ahead of time.
Good. Any other questions?
Through the chair.
Michael?
I know we haven't really addressed stormwater in a lot of our future planning, but I'm looking at this and you're saying you're going to reroute this stuff through City Park Way, and I know there's a big opportunity there to divert some stormwater out of the parking lot. So is there any possibility that we might be able to incorporate that? Could we move forward with this design and maybe add on some capacity for stormwater? Would stormwater impact what we're trying to do here at all?
Councilmember Salazar, as far as the impact, whatever areas that we impact, we will try to accommodate any additional need, whether that would be a sidewalk, street, storm drain. We will comply with the current requirements on the storm drain applications into the best design practices based on the county's recommendation. For a longer or a larger impact through the whole park, we do have a project that was considered in the CIP. However, the funding on that one hasn't been established yet. So this project will not impact the major storm drain that goes through the park, but it will address the local issues as we encounter them in the alignment.
Okay. Sounds like we have a little reserve money in capital improvement, so that'd be a nice opportunity if we can piggyback that on.
Well,
this project.
as much as we can. I mean, our hands are bound based on the nexus for the project, because the funding for this comes from the sewer fund and the water fund. So whatever gets impacted for this project that we could justify, we can improve. Any additional improvements we want to make that's not related to this project directly, then we would have to look for other source of funding.
Okay, thank you.
Ken?
I just want to follow up on that. What is it going to take for us to direct you to at least look at it, or at least have a consultant, consider it? I appreciate what you're saying, that, I mean, why look at it if we don't have a funding source? But what do we know? How much does it cost? And, and like he says, you mentioned the reserve. We've got a major river running through that park that we can possibly take care of, and now would be the time.
Yeah, let me take a stab at that question, because what the director is saying is that there is no funding in the stormwater fund to design, to evaluate, to do a feasibility study, to construct the type of improvement that would be necessary to address, as you said, the river through the parking lot in City Park. If it is the council's interest that that issue be explored, staff could certainly come back to you with some preliminary thoughts about what it would take and the initiation potentially of a feasibility study. I want to be clear that what the director is telling you should not be understood as any significant changes to the current, to the existing situation, unless we take an additional effort to evaluate what the opportunities may be and what the costs for rectifying that situation or addressing the stormwater situation in a more complete manner. We can certainly take a look at that and come back to the council with some initial thoughts about that.
Just speaking for myself, I would like to have staff come back with some initial thoughts and
Yep.
ideas. I'm not saying to go out and have a consultant, but I'm just saying the feasibility and the opportunity that has been brought up, I'm also one that would like to at least have that looked at.
We're happy to do that. This is a long-standing issue and one that could improvements be coordinated, may be a great opportunity, but that is not currently what's on the table.
Okay. And if we could at least
do
let the
that.
consultant know that it is our interest to do something
Yeah,
there, and they take
absolutely.
that into consideration, it might make a different solution. I mean, rather than have them completely avoid that project area, they should consider that it might be something that we want to open up anyway. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this item? They're asking for another resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. And item 10D, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Hydroscience Engineers, Inc. for the design of the Spyglass Pump Station and Force Main Replacement Project in an amount not to exceed $331,673.
The Spyglass Pump Station is one of 6 sanitary sewer pump stations that's operated by the city that conveys the wastewater to the water quality control plant in South San Francisco. The pump station is located at the end of Spyglass Drive in the northwestern corner of the city and serves approximately 78 homes in the vicinity. As part of the consent decree, the city is required to rehabilitate and replace the pump station by 2018. The existing pump station has several issues that requires the replacement. The wet well is corroded. The pump station building is also located on a steep slope, approximately 10 to 15 feet lower than the street level. Access to the pump station is only available by going down the steep stairway. And the stairway is also in poor conditions as well. The layout of the pump station makes it really difficult for the maintenance staff to go down and perform the maintenance of the pump station. And the existing pumps are also outdated and in need of replacement because they require constant maintenance and repair. The existing force main pipeline is also located in the steep and heavily wooded area that makes it impossible for the city staff to access the force main for repair as well. So the city issued an RFP for the design services in October and received 3 proposals for the design. Staff evaluated the proposals and is recommending Hydroscience to provide professional engineering design for this project. Hydroscience has the experience as they've previously designed the Olympic pump station and force main replacement project. The cost for the consultant services is $331,673. The scope of work includes the preparations of bid documents, providing construction support, preparing technical memorandum, performing alternative evaluations, and surveying as well as geotechnical investigation. The design will take approximately 10 months to complete with an estimated construction of 12 months. And this project is an established CIP project and has an appropriation of $1,091,000 from the wastewater capital fund, which will be carried over to the 2014-15 CIP. No additional funding is being proposed in the 14-15 CIP. However, staff will come back within the 2015-16 CIP for additional funding for construction of the facilities. Therefore, staff is recommending to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Hydroscience for the design of the Spyglass pump station and force main replacement project for an amount not to exceed $331,673.
Any questions of staff? We're asking for another resolution. Irene?
I'm just wondering how many alternatives they're going to look at? Are they going to consider totally changing the flow direction, changing where the pump station is?
couple of the alternatives that we're evaluating is, there is currently the spyglass at the Sharp Park pump station that's located, just above the Sharp Park Road. One of the alternatives is to pump from this spyglass pump station to the Sharp Park pump station as well. That's one alternative. And the other one is to look at, we do have some inflow and infiltration issues in the Sharp Park Basin. One alternative is to segregate the entire basin into two different basins to convey portion of the flows from the Sharp Park Basin into the spyglass pump station as well.
But hydroscience will look at all of these options.
Correct.
Okay. Irene, anything else?
No, that's fine, thank you.
All right.
If I could just follow up on that, what is the status of the Sharp Park pump station? Is that in design, or is that being planned?
No.
Is it a CIP project in the near future? Or is
It's a long-term plan. We have done some improvement to the Sharp Park pump
Right,
station.
I know,
Currently, we're looking at the laterals in that area. But as far as the pump stations, we're not looking at it within the next few years. It's actually in the long-term plan.
I think that what concerns me is that this is a fairly new development, I mean, as far as history is concerned, and it's only serving 78 homes, and it's in terrible shape, and it was like a bad design from the very beginning, and maybe we can, improve it with, as far as scale and I like Irene's comment as far as consideration with the with the other Sharp Park station, because that's been there, twice as long or 3 times as long, and it's still doing fine, and we're not even, it's not even on the radar yet as far as being replaced. So I think we should be a little more prudent on $2.7 million and not necessarily, be anxious to just spend it on, on a small neighborhood. I mean, I recognize that you've got a deadline, and I recognize that, they do need, it does need repair, but, or replacement, so hopefully the consultant will come up with, something.
That's a very valid question,
Okay.
Councilmember. The problem that we have in this area is the terrain is very, very peculiar. You have the Spyglass Drive that's way below Sharp Park Road. So we cannot really bring it up and without some kind of a pump system and get over the elevation. Even if you want to give it to Pacifica, you still have to connect down Sharp Park. It's just as easy for us to bring it up to connect it to our system. If you recall, for the Olympic pump station, we looked at that alternative to give it to Westboro, and that didn't quite work out. But we will look at all the alternatives. You're right, this is quite a bit of money that we're going to spend here for 78 homes. It is required. We have to get it done quickly. But in the meantime, we will look at the alternatives and try to get the best for our money.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item 11, we already had the report of commissions, boards, and committees. Item 12, comments from council members. Irene is going to report on her attendance at the annual National Pipeline Safety Trust Conference. Irene.
Thank you. I actually have handouts for you that I'll be bringing back. This year's conference had a lot to do with enforcement of, on the company side, what are they doing? How are state and federal regulations affecting what they're doing? And then a lot on what do local governments need to know to effectively work with them and to effectively make changes. And so I don't know if you can see this, but I got you Local Government Guide to Pipelines, Participation, Preparedness, and Pipeline Safety. Can you see from, anyway, I'm bringing this back for everybody. There's another one for homeowners guides to pipelines, like what do you need to know to be effective as well. It was very informative. It was a little different than last year, and I have a lot to share with you next time.
Thank you.
Before I stop, I do have one announcement. We are having our 100th tree planting on Thursday, December 4th at 3:30 at Cappuccino High School, and the mayor has agreed to turn the shovel to plant our 100th tree there. Cappuccino is working with Rotary, and they are doing a plaque that will commemorate the tree planting and our 100th year anniversary, so it should be exciting. So you're all invited. There'll be light refreshments from the feast program there, and it should be a nice event.
Great, thank you. Rico?
Through the chair, I wanted to just, don't have to have an answer now, but get an update on where we are at the CIP budget, capital improvement projects budget coming to council. With that said, now that we have a little more time, I'd like to have, if it's possible when that comes forward, to have an inventory of the city facilities that are not currently being occupied. I'd also like to have brought forward at that time during the CIP to have all currently occupied municipal facilities to know the condition and status of air conditioning and heating. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, prior to adjournment, first of all, we had our closed session before the meeting this evening. In adjourning this evening, I'd like to close the meeting in memory of a very special woman. It was my pleasure just last weekend to present Catherine Murphy with a proclamation on Saturday, the 15th of November, on the occasion of her 100th birthday, which coincides with our centennial. Kay spent more than half of her life here in San Bruno, was married to Jim for over 57 years and raised 4 children, Kathy, Ann, Jim, and John. She demonstrated in countless ways her dedication to teaching from Lawton School in San Francisco to St. Robert's School right here in San Bruno. She lived during the most eventful century of this world's history, and in her quiet way has been a force for good and a stabilizing influence on those around her. She celebrated her 100th birthday on November 14th, in the same year as San Bruno's centennial. She passed away last Friday, 1 week after her birthday, and she will be sorely missed. So please join me in a moment of silence in her memory. Thank you very much. And we will adjourn to the next regular city council meeting to be held right here on December the 9th. And to everyone, a very happy Thanksgiving. Meeting adjourned.